So, physics. Physics, eh? Physics. 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 Physics, 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 physics. I don't want you getting all this down. Okay.
Hello, welcome to Physics 1051 for spring of 2020. This is the first time our department has offered a physics course remotely, so this is something brand new. We're going to stay flexible, and I'm sure together we're going to do just great. I'm Kelly Shorlin, the instructor for the course, for the first half of the course. Dr. Yatharaj will be with you for the second half. I'm going to keep my office hours online, so Mondays and Thursdays, 1 until 1:50, I will have online rooms open in Brightspace for you to virtually drop in and ask any questions or to talk. To get to online rooms, you go into the Brightspace page for the course, you go Communication, Online Rooms, Online Office Hours. Under the heading of Actions, you can click Launch, and then you enter the meeting room. So if you log in during those times, I will be there the whole time and you can ask whatever questions you want. I'm always available by email. I check my MUN email, kshorlin@mun.ca, way more often than I check my Brightspace email. So you're better off trying to get me at my MUN email. I also maintain a Snapchat for the class. It's a nice quick way to communicate, and it's really good if we're trying to work on problems together because we can use images. There's some extra course content available on YouTube, some worked out solutions and things like that. If you go to YouTube and do a search for Shorlin Physics, I should be the first hit you come up with. So there's a fair bit of contact there, and I'll try and stay available as often as you need me. So most semesters I like to circulate a student survey to try to get to know everybody. I think that might even be more important this semester since it's so hard to talk to people. This is completely optional. You absolutely do not have to take part if you don't wish. If you would like to take part, then answer any of the questions below that you wish. You don't have to do all of them. Send them to my MUN email, kshorlin@mun.ca, and then if you're comfortable, attach a selfie so I can put a face with the answers with the person. I'm going to keep all of this private. I won't share it with anybody, and at the end of the semester, I'll destroy it all, so this is not going to be circulated. If you like, I can share some of my answers with you guys. What do you want me to call you, and what are your pronouns? So I'm Kelly Shorlin. You can call me Dr. Shorlin. Kelly is okay. My old-fashioned Newfie heart kind of likes Miss better than anything. Where do you call home, and what is it like? I guess I call St. John's home. I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else since I went to school here. I think I like it because it's quiet, it's peaceful, my family is here. Yeah, it just feels like home. That's what I love about it. What do I feel passionate about? Lots of different passions, I suppose. Currently, I'm on a big Lord of the Rings kick. I guess it's been my favorite story for a really long time. Lately, I've been rewatching the movies and rereading the books, really taking my time to go through it and really let the words all sink in. In these days, it's nice to have a little bit of an escape, and that's what that is for me. Challenges with schoolwork this semester. Oh, so many challenges. Probably you guys and I have a lot of the same challenges. A big one for me is going to feel that I think I'm going to feel a bit out of touch with the class. It's really hard to know how you guys are doing if I can't see you and talk to you in person. My experience with physics, I did a Bachelor's of Science and a Master's of Science, both in physics here at MUN, so I went to school here for years. Went up to Ontario to do my PhD, like a lot of us, and then I couldn't get home fast enough. At the end of my PhD, I kept calling and pestering them until they finally hired me and I moved home. I worked in the labs for years, and then 3 or 4 years ago, I switched to being a full-time professor. A fun fact about me, when I was a kid, maybe about 7 or 8, there was a contest in my hometown that you could win a turkey for Thanksgiving, and all you had to do was name the turkey. So turns out I won that year. I picked the name Solomon for the turkey, and ever since, every turkey we've had in my family has been called Solomon. So there's something about me. So course content next. Our course textbook is Physics for Scientists and Engineers with Mastering Physics. You do need a textbook because we're going to use Mastering Physics with the course. I expect everybody has a book, either from doing 1050 or 1051 already. If you don't have a book, reach out to me and I'll see if I can help. I've got all the topics that we're going to cover here and the chapter numbers. Some of the parts you'll read on your own, some of the parts I'll deliver with notes. We won't do every section of every chapter, but we should get through most of it. All of the course information is going to be coordinated through Brightspace or D2L. So when you log into your Brightspace using your Mon ID and your PIN, you choose Physics 1051 for spring 2020. Probably the first thing you should go through is the syllabus. I would suggest you hit pause now and go open up the syllabus. I'm going to go through most of the important parts here, but it is important for you to have a read through. On Brightspace, all of the course material is going to be there. All of the lectures and notes, homework problems, important dates, notices, all of the assignments, all of the tests, an email, discussion groups, so lots and lots of stuff. Everything is there. It's going to be your responsibility to check Brightspace on a regular basis. I suggest daily, to make sure you're not missing anything. So make sure you stay on top of your Brightspace for your courses. So the lectures, they're not going to be live. I say that they're non-synchronous and remote. This is not an online course. Anybody who's done an online course can probably tell you that they're really super well designed. This remote teaching is something we're doing on an emergency measure, so I am going to do my best, but it's not the same as an online course. I'm not going to do them live. I think maybe that would just get too complicated. People might be in different time zones. I don't know geographically where everybody is. Sometimes internet access can be a little bit spotty, so I think trying to get 70 people online at once is just too much to ask for. So what I'll do is I'm going to make lecture videos. I'll either do a narrated PowerPoint like this, there won't be loads of these, or I will do films on YouTube's, and I'll post the YouTube links so you can have a look at them. I will make the YouTube videos unlisted, so you won't be able to search for them. You'll have to go to Brightspace and get the link. I would say that the best way to approach your lectures are, first of all, have a look at the lecture slides from before class. I'll make up some that are mostly empty. There might be some words or a written out problem and some diagrams. I would say either print those or prepare your own, so make a template of your own. Have a read through them, check the parts of the textbook that go with it. Make sure you kind of know where we're going. You have a rough idea. I'll record the lecture videos, I'll post the links, and then you should watch them with your notes in hand. I'll go through the material and discuss it. I'll add some notes, solve some problems, add some diagrams, just like in a regular class. You watch along. In an attempt to stay really engaged, I would suggest that before I solve problems or I work on something, you pause and give it a try yourself first, and also add notes as I add notes. That'll really help you absorb and retain the information. After the lecture is done, I will post all of the finished slides, so everything I wrote will get posted on D2L. Make sure you review those and get in touch with me as soon as you can with any questions. You don't want to let this stuff go. My last tip is, I would say, try and do your classes on time. The scheduled times are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday at 1, so that's not a bad time for you to try them. If that time doesn't work for you, then pick 3 scheduled hours a week that you're going to have your lectures, and don't miss them. I imagine trying to be self-motivated to study and stay on top of things is probably pretty difficult. And if you get behind, it's probably more difficult still to catch up. So try really hard to get to those lectures on a regular basis. So 3 times a week, you're sitting down with your lectures. And you can find the lectures under course content. So it's all up there on Brightspace. I'm going to talk about each of these items on the following slides. So there are labs for 15%. Your assignments will be a mix of online and handwritten. Together, those are going to be worth 25%. You'll be putting some effort into those. Discussion groups on D2L are going to be worth 5%. A couple of term tests, together they'll be worth 20. Couple, I'm not sure exactly how many, but there'll be some projects worth 10%, a couple of essays worth 10, and a final exam worth 15. So there's the breakdown of all the things that will count for points in this course. Let's start with the labs. So like the classes, the labs are going to be delivered remotely as well. Lots of different ways the lab guys have been working on to do these in an interesting fashion for you. There might be some computer simulations, there might be at-home experiments, there might be videoed experiments with data collection. So you'll consider all of those things, you'll do an analysis and submit a lab report. They're not exactly going to be live, but Justin and the rest of the lab staff, they're going to be online for you 9 to 11 on Tuesday mornings. So your lab slot is 9 to 11 on Tuesdays, and the lab staff is going to be there in an online room for you to talk to. It's the best place to get fast, interactive help. So I'm going to suggest that you try and keep your lab time 9 to 11 on Tuesdays if you possibly can. All of the lab information is up on Brightspace. There's a separate page for the labs, so when you log into your Brightspace, you should see a page for Physics 1051 labs. That's where all your lab info is. Some important things to mention: you do have to pass the labs in order to pass the course. It's not difficult to pass the labs. So you should be able to pass as long as you show up and do some work. You can also do really well in the labs and use that for a course booster. I kind of recommend taking that road wherever you can. There are no lab waivers, so if you're repeating the class, you also repeat the labs. If you miss a lab, if you have to be absent for some reason, you can either get in touch with me or get in touch with the lab instructor, Justin Pittman, within 48 hours. And then your lab schedule is here, and Justin is going to go through everything on your first lab session. The first lab session is tomorrow, the 12th of May, starting at 9 a.m. Normally there are pre-labs, but there won't be for tomorrow. So all you have to do is log into your Brightspace at 9 a.m. and go along with what's being done there. You can have a look through the course content. Science safety courses are required for any lab science course. You've probably got this done already. If not, you make sure you do so. You should get it done by the 15th of May. It's completely online through Brightspace. You would have had to register for it when you registered for the class if you haven't done it already. So make sure you get that done. Next is Mastering Physics. That's our online assignment system. I'm thinking most of you guys probably are familiar with Mastering Physics. I'll do a quick overview. If there's anything I'm missing, just get in touch with me. Mastering is really valuable practice to help you assimilate the material, to put it all together. It's not exactly test level for the most part, but it is really super for mastering the fundamentals. You have to get to your Mastering Physics through Brightspace. So when you go to the Physics 1051 page, underneath the calendar widget, there's a Mastering Physics widget. So you click on that and it's going to take you to Mastering Physics. You can't Google the Mastering Physics. You won't be able to get it open because you don't have the course ID. Sometimes you run into some trouble getting your Mastering Physics open. Three things you can try. Make sure you enable the pop-ups. You might even have to Google how do you do that on your specific browser and computer, but make sure you're allowed to have pop-ups. You can try clearing your cache and your cookies, and then you can also try not using Safari. Mastering is kind of notorious for not liking Safari, but it often does like Chrome. It's pretty happy with Chrome. Okay, if none of those work, get in touch with me. If I can't help, I will find somebody who can help. So more about mastering. When you log in, you're going to need to use your access code. If you've used mastering for Physics 1050 or 1051 before, D2L will probably remember you. So you'll click on the widget and you'll just pop you right in there. If you're brand new to the course and you get a new code, you'll be asked to enter it. You should already be good to go, but if you're not, get in touch with me and I'll see if I can help you out. You open up the assignment, read through the questions, work on them, you type in your answers. Normally you get multiple tries for an answer, but sometimes you can lose points for just guessing randomly. So make sure you don't guess, you really work on it before you put in your answer. The computer will automatically submit and grade your answers, so there's no need to save anything. As soon as you hit submit, everything is done for that particular problem. I recommend you keep a notebook of workings and possibly also a set of the printed questions, or keep a note of which questions it comes from the textbook. You'll thank yourself when you go back to study if you have those workings back. You're going to start this class in May. You're going to have a final exam in August. Come August, you might forget how you did the problems in May. If you've got your notebook of workings, you can always go back and review and you'll know what you did. The opening and close dates are reasonably firm. They're not really likely to change unless we get behind for some reason. If you get stuck, and that can certainly happen, there are lots of ways to get help. Our Physics Help Center is available. That's going to be online. And that's online through Brightspace, so there's a physics resources page. That's going to be our help center. You can use the discussion groups. You can get in touch with me. You can work with your friends. There's lots of different ways to look for some help. I'm going to suggest strongly that you not just Google the answers. I know that you can, but it kind of defeats the purpose. The mastering physics assignments are there to help you master the physics. So it helps you figure out exactly what you're supposed to be doing and giving you the practice to know how to solve the problems and understand the material. There are 2 mastering physics assignments open right now, or I think chapter 16 opens tomorrow. Chapter 15 is open. That's what you covered at the end of Physics 1050. I know it was really hectic at the end of last semester, and you might not have really had time to absorb all that material. So I've released an assignment. It's not for any credit, it's only for practice. So if you feel you might be a little bit shaky on some of those chapter 15 ideas, you might want to just work through a few of those problems until you're pretty sure you're okay with it. Chapter 16 is going to open up on the 15th of May. I think I've got 20 questions on there. 14 are for credit and the rest are just for extra practice or no credit. I would recommend you try really hard to stay on top of those mastering physics and you're not leaving them till the night before. Otherwise, it's probably going to be a pretty stressful evening for you. Next, the written assignments. With these, we can get more in depth in the mastering physics. They're a little bit more like test level questions, so there's going to be more meat to those. We're going to do those regularly over the semester. I'm not going to commit to how many, but there will tend to be 1 written assignment per topic. They'll get posted on Brightspace under assessments and assignments. You'll complete your solution. There's a couple of ways to do it. You can write it out on a word processor, that's absolutely fine, or you can write it out on paper, that's okay too. If you write it out on paper, make sure it's nice and neat and I can read it. Then you can either scan it to a PDF or you can take a picture of it with your phone, and then you'll upload it back to assessments and assignments. When you upload a picture, PDF is preferable. A single page is preferable, and you can make that happen either with the scanner on your printer at home, or you can use a free app like Cam Scanner. JPEG is okay, but HEIC is not acceptable. That's a format that usually comes with brand new iPhones. If you send me something in an HEIC, I'm not going to be able to accept it. I'm going to have to call it not submitted. So the onus is on you to make sure you've submitted the correct format. So after you've uploaded it, have a look at it, see what the format is, make sure it looks nice, and I'll be able to see it. When you write your solution, make sure it's really well laid out with lots of detail. This is more or less going to be your test practice, and you will lose points for lack of clarity and lack of detail. So it's important to be really nice and thorough. If you get stuck, there's lots of ways to get help. You can reach out to the help center, you can reach out to me, you can work with your friends, you can use a discussion group, but make sure there's no copying and no Googling. So you can definitely work together, but no straight up copying. Next, I mentioned this a couple of times. Now we'll talk about it in more detail, discussion groups. There are going to be discussion groups open on Brightspace in the course shell, and they're there to facilitate peer interaction. Normally, you'd have opportunity to work together in class. I'd pose a problem, you could work with your neighbors and try and get the solution done. You'd also be able to go to the help center and sit down and work with other people there. We don't have that ability this semester, so we're going to do that with the discussion groups. They'll give you a place to talk to other people in the class. If you want to find the discussion groups, you go to Communication, click Discussions. You'll see there that there are some topics and threads. I've got a few threads open now, and you can get started whenever. You can do kind of anything course related in these discussion groups. So you can talk about some topics you find interesting, what life is like while you're trying to go to school during COVID-19, where to find some resources, share some fun stuff you might have found on videos. You can ask questions to other students about mastering or written assignments or test studying. You can also answer questions that other people ask about mastering in the assignments. You will be given some points for participation. I anticipate that you'll make about 3 to 5 meaningful posts a week. So by meaningful, I mean you can't just post and say, hey everybody, how's it going? You kind of have to say something course related. So there needs to be a contribution. You can't be rude, so everybody has to be nice. You definitely don't always have to be right. If somebody posts a question saying, look, I'm stuck on mastering number 3, can you help out? And you offer a suggestion of try this equation and put in, this idea, and that turns out to be completely wrong, that post will still count. There's a lot of value in making mistakes as you go through. So your content doesn't have to be correct, but you do have to try and communicate. So that's what I'm looking for in these discussion groups. There are 2 term tests in the class. The first term test is going to be on Monday, the 8th of June. It will be a timed test, so it will release at a certain time and it will end at a certain time. It is not going to be invigilated, so you don't have to do Proctor U. I think that's the thing I heard about. We're not doing anything like that. So it's a non-invigilated test. It's going to look more like a written assignment than a typical term test. I expect it's not going to take the same intense level of preparation and study stress as a normal test does. So that's why we've got other evaluations incorporated into the class. If you miss a test, there's not going to be any makeup tests. You will have to contact me within 48 hours. And test number 1 will be administered through Brightspace, the same place you find your assignments. Test number 2, I'll leave to Dr. Yetharaj to discuss when his time in the class comes. I haven't quite decided on the time of the test yet, but as we get a bit closer, I'll be able to post that. So next, projects. There's going to be a series of projects over the semester. What the project, at least the first project anyway, these might change a little bit as we go along. The first project is now open. You can find it under assessment and then assignments. In the first project, you'll open up an online simulation. You'll make a wave on a string and you'll analyze that wave. It shouldn't take you a real long time. And the point of it is to give you a way to see waves that we might normally do with a real demo in class. So in class, I would bring in a long string, I would set up a set of standing waves, and you'd be able to look at it and you'd be able to do some analysis. We can't really do that in this setting, so that's the point of these projects, to give you something like that. Of course, you can always get help through Brightspace or the Help Center or by talking to me if you get stuck on it. Next is the essay component. There's going to be 2 essays over the semester. The first essay, I'm going to post a list of suggested topics, and you can pick anything from that list. If nothing there catches your fancy, you can pick your own topic, but you have to run it past me first. You have to make sure it's okay. I don't have those details up yet. They're going to come soon. I'm also going to post a rubric so that you know what you're going to be graded on, and I'm going to post a sample essay so you'll have an idea of what this is going to look like. You can write your essay on a word processor. That is certainly preferred. However, if you're trying to manage this course from your phone, I can't imagine trying to write an essay on a phone. If you don't have access to a word processor on a computer, then you may handwrite your essay. Just make sure it's really nice and neat, and then you take a picture, a nice clear picture, and you can upload that. So word processor is preferred, but if you need to handwrite it, I can certainly accept that. Something that's super important is that your essay can't be plagiarized. I anticipate you're going to do some research and learn about a topic, which is super, but then when you sit down to write, it has to be your own words. And even beyond just taking a sentence and switching the order of the two clauses, that's not really okay either. You have to write out, what did you learn about this and how would you describe it to somebody else? If you feel a bit stuck with writing, the Writing Center will be open over the summer and you can get in touch with them. They're really super and they can give you a lot of help. I would suggest that you would get in touch with them sooner rather than later because I imagine they get fairly busy. So that's another part that we'll be doing this semester. Next, I've got 3 slides here with a whole lot of text. I'm not going to read it out. I did copy and paste just from Mun's calendar. 675. And the important parts are if you're away from your classes for fewer than 5 days and you miss some sort of evaluation, a test or something like that, a timed evaluation that happens on that day that you're away, you need to contact me from your MUN email address within 48 hours. If I don't hear from you within 48 hours of the evaluation, MUN's policy says that I need to give you a 0 for that evaluation. So if you're out less than 5 days, I need an email within 48 hours. If you're out 5 days or more and you miss an evaluation, you still have to contact me from your MUN email, but documentation would be required as well. So for example, if you were ill, you might have to provide a doctor's note. If I do get contact from you within your 48 hours, then there'll be an accommodation for your missed work. There are different forms an accommodation could come in. There might be other work, some sort of makeup, a late submission, shifted weight, all sorts of things. I'll choose the accommodation based on what specific thing was missed for what reason and what kind of shape you're in to do an accommodation. If you're not content with the offered accommodation, if you feel like it's not reasonable, you can always get in touch with the department head and have a further discussion about that. So, close to finish up here, I'm going to say that I think everybody can do well in this class. A rule of thumb is that if you spend about 3 hours studying for every 1 hour of lectures, you're probably going to end up doing super. You can get that A or that A plus you're looking for. So I would suggest that before class, you have a look through the textbook, you have a look through those slides. Make sure you do stay on top of those lecture videos, watch them on a schedule, make sure you're not missing it, try not to get behind. Pause, try problems on your own before watching a solution. It'll really help you know if you've got the idea or not. And what else? After class, make sure you're reviewing, you're doing your practice problems. Do your mastering physics that go with the topic discussed in that class just for extra practice. Organization is going to be super important. I think it's really, really hard to stay motivated if you're working from home. It's going to be summer, the weather's going to get nice, so things are going to be tough. I would definitely recommend that you use a calendar. You can try one on your phone, you can try one on paper, whatever works best, but get everything in that calendar and set reminders for yourself when you're going to do your lectures, when you're going to do your mastering, when you're going to ask questions, when you're going to contact the Writing Center, when you're going to submit your dates, when is your test dates. So make sure you know when everything is due. Reach out for help sooner rather than later. If you're feeling a little bit stuck, then reach out and get help. Then you'll really be able to stay on top of stuff and you won't be slowed down when we come to a next topic. The help center is there, the discussion groups are there. I'm kind of always around and super willing to help. The last thing is a physics streak. Anybody who's done a class with me before in the last couple of years probably knows what I'm going to say here. But one of the best ways to learn is to do a little bit every single day. I got the inspiration for a physics streak with my kid and her friend. They're currently on a 1,204-day Snapchat streak, so going on for 3 years. If you do some physics every single day between the first day of classes, the 11th of May, and the last day of classes, then you will have kept your physics streak and I will get you a prize. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get you the prize, but I will do it. I will manage. I'll drop something in the mail or I'll send you something by Amazon. I will give you a prize if you do some physics every single day. And I do mean every day. If it's beautiful and we're allowed to expand our bubble a bit, and even if you're having a few friends over in the backyard, you still have to do some physics on that day. So there's no skipping for any reason. So if you keep it up every single day, I will get you a prize. If you ask, how am I going to know if you've kept your streak? My answer is, I'm going to trust that you won't lie to me. So if you tell me you've kept your streak, then I'm going to believe you. But I'm going to believe you, so you really should keep the streak if you say you've kept the streak. So you shouldn't tell lies. Last, a lot of people ask what the prize is going to be. My answer is there's only one way to find out what the prize is, and that is to keep your streak. So I'll encourage you all to try, and I hope I give out a lot of prizes this summer. Um, some of the resources, so there are a couple of places you can go. CITL has some really nice stuff up for students right now about remote learning and using Brightspace. So I've got the website up. You can check those guys out. The Physics Help Center I've mentioned a few times. So that's available through Brightspace. You go to Physics Resources. It's staffed by lab personnel. I've got all the names and faces here. These are the people who will be answering your emails or talking to you through online rooms. And you can ask anything you want. And they're there, they're willing, and they're experienced, and they're able to help with whatever you're asking. So by all means, reach out to them and CITL whenever necessary. And then, of course, I'm here whenever you need me to. And then last, and I think this is really, really important, your well-being really matters. This is kind of a hard time globally, and it's important that you do well. If you're struggling, there are resources to help you. I've got a nice long list in the course syllabus, so there are a lot of places there. There are a lot of resources online. Student Wellness Office, they are open, but I think they're only doing phone contact. So you can talk to a real person. It doesn't just have to be looking at things online, but there are resources to help you if you're struggling. If you don't know who to talk to, then by all means, reach out to me. I will, if I can't help with whatever issue you're having, I will get you a contact who can help you. There might be just something minor, like you need closed captioning on the slides or something. Those sorts of things I can deal with no problem. The Blunden Center is operating, so if you need some sort of course accommodations, they are there to help. If you need help with study skills, then there are some things there through MUN's websites as well. So there are lots of resources out there. There's lots of help to be had. All you got to do is ask. Okay, so that clues up this part. Next, we'll move into a little bit of class material.